Have you ever been in a place that just felt like it had a memory? You know, not just creaky floorboards, but like the walls themselves were holding on to something. Well, today we're digging into a story just like that. It's about a hotel room that doesn't officially exist, but it seems to remember everything.
This is what kicks off our entire investigation. Back in 2015, a woman named Claire checks into the Majestic Hotel in Chicago. She's given a key, but not to the room she booked. It's for room 0. And what she found inside? Well, it was impossible. It was a place she knew by heart, a home that had been torn down years and years ago.
So let's start with Claire's case because it's one of the most detailed accounts we have. She said the desk clerk who gave her this strange old brass key seemed really nervous. She finds the room at the end of a long, dark hallway on the 3rd floor. And what happened when she opened that door is where this whole mystery really begins.
I mean, think about this for a second. The details she gave were just incredible. It wasn't just like her grandmother's house. It was her grandmother's house. The smell of lilac and old wood, something she hadn't smelled in 30 years. The furniture placed exactly right. And then, there on the nightstand, a family photo that had been lost for decades. How is that possible? But the real kicker, the view from the window wasn't the city of Chicago, it was her grandmother's backyard, a total recreation of a memory.
Okay, and if a room built from memories wasn't strange enough, this is where things go completely off the rails. Claire was sure she'd been in there for at least an hour, but when she finally left and checked her watch, only 5 minutes had passed. 5. She goes back to the front desk, and the clerk who gave her the key just goes pale. He whispers, "You weren't supposed to get that room." The next day, that clerk was gone, vanished.
Now look, I get it. A single story, no matter how detailed, is easy to write off. A strange dream, maybe a hallucination, right? But here's the thing. It wasn't just Claire. As people started to dig into this, they realized her experience was just one piece of a much, much larger puzzle that's been going on for a very long time.
And this is where we meet Dr. Martin. He's a folklorist who's basically spent his career documenting these kinds of things. He's not just collecting ghost stories, he's tracking a pattern. He's found over 50 credible, separate accounts, some going all the way back to the 1940s. All of them describe this impossible experience in a room the hotel swears up and down does not exist.
So what do you even call something like this? Well, there's a term for it, a phantom room. It's a concept you see in folklore all over the world, like in stories like Stephen King's Room 1408. It's basically an architectural ghost, a space that isn't really fixed, but instead shows up based on a person's emotions or memories. And Room 0? It fits the description to a T. And the pattern Dr. Martin uncovered is just chillingly consistent. It's never some random room. It is always a powerful personal memory. People always mention a specific smell that brings them back. They often report feeling wanted or pulled into the room. And that time distortion thing that Claire experienced? Yeah, that shows up again and again. It feels like this thing, whatever it is, has a set of rules.
Okay, stories are one thing, but what about something you can actually hold in your hands? This is where it gets really unsettling. Tucked away in a local historical society are the Majestic's old guest registers, and there, in different handwriting from different decades, are entries for room 0. But next to some of the names, there's a little note scribbled in the margin. It just says, "Never checked out."
So now we've got eyewitness stories, and we've got historical documents. The next logical step, right, is to look at the building itself. If this room is real, there has to be a physical space for it somewhere. There just has to be.
And right away, you hit a massive contradiction. On one hand, you have the original blueprints from 1892. And look, it's a perfectly normal, symmetrical floor plan. Nothing's out of place. But then you talk to former employees, people who worked there for years, and they tell a completely different story. They were all warned, don't go near the end of the 3rd floor corridor.
This quote, it comes from a retired Chicago PD detective who worked the case of a businessman who disappeared from the hotel back in 1984. They found all his luggage, but in his pocket, they found a key, a heavy, old-fashioned brass key stamped with a 0. The detective went to the 3rd floor, right to the spot, and found nothing. Just a solid wall, no door. The key was real, but the room was gone. And it gets weirder. That key later vanished from a police evidence locker.
So for decades, that's kind of where the trail went cold. A mystery, a cold case. Until 2022. A team of researchers decided to settle this once and for all. They brought in ground-penetrating radar, tech that can literally see through solid walls. And they scanned that exact spot at the end of the hallway. And they found it.
The scan confirmed it. There's a hidden void, a structural anomaly, a space between the walls absolutely big enough to be a room, right where everyone said room 0 should be. But there's no visible entrance. It's a sealed-off space that physically exists, confirming decades of stories.
So, let's recap. We have a room that is physically there but can't be entered. A room that somehow builds itself out of a person's memories. To even begin to understand why, we have to go all the way back, to before the Majestic was even a hotel. This is the building's secret. Behind that grand, fancy facade, it was built on top of a real tragedy. Before it was the Majestic Hotel, it was an orphanage for girls. And the heart of that tragedy, well, it happened on the 3rd floor.
10. In 1915, a horrible fire swept through the 3rd floor dormitory. 10 young girls died that night. And the historical records showed that the room where the fire started was immediately sealed off, bricked up, and never opened again. It's in the exact same location as the anomaly found by the radar.
A hotel historian offered this theory, and it kind of gives you chills. For a lot of those children, the orphanage was all they had. It was their only home. All of their memories were made inside those walls. What if that intense emotion, all that love and loss, somehow got imprinted onto the building itself? Maybe the room preserves what they loved most because it's all they had.
So now we have to try and put all these pieces together. We've got consistent stories, we've got physical proof of a hidden space, and we've got this deeply tragic history. So what in the world is Room 0? Is it a blessing? Or is it a curse?
There are a few different theories out there. Is it a classic haunting, the energy of that tragedy just replaying itself? Or is it something more scientific, I guess, like a time slip, a glitch in the fabric of reality? Some investigators think it's more like a predator, a psychological trap that uses our own nostalgia to lure us in. But the most unsettling theory? That it's some kind of entity that collects people by locking them inside their own happiest memories forever.
And that brings us back to the most chilling part of all of this. Like Dr. Martin said, Claire got out, but not everyone does. It's a stark reminder of those guest registers of that businessman from 1984. Claire, she was one of the lucky ones.
If you go to the Majestic Hotel today, the management will tell you there is no room 0. They'll deny everything. And if you go to the 3rd floor, you'll see a normal, brightly lit hallway that ends at a plain, blank wall. But as all these stories suggest, that's only true most of the time.
So I guess that leaves one final question, and this one's for you. If that door suddenly appeared right in front of you, a door offering you a chance to step back into your most cherished, most perfect memory, but you knew you might never be able to leave, would you open it? What would you risk just to relive one perfect moment?